All right, good Saturday afternoon. How are you? Carl of Untap Genius here. So, I want to ask you it's the most important question I could ever ask you on some level. And there are many ways of asking it, but basically, when you ask yourself the question, what are you here to do on planet Earth while you're here? What answer do you have? And did you get an answer, or do you not know? Might you have a lack of direction or purpose, a lack of clarity about what you bring to this world? If so, you're in the vast majority. Um, these tags are, I'm just learning how to put these little tags at the bottom here. Anyway, so yeah, the question is, what are you here to do? And do you know? And if you do know, if you've given any kind of consideration, do you think you can actually make it happen? Do you have the clarity? Do you have the courage? Do you have the means, as far as you're concerned, to have it happen? Now, to some, this question might be foreign. You may have never really thought about it or haven't given it serious consideration. And a lot of times we're so busy with our everyday lives, our to-dos, and things that we have to do to just get by, make it through another day, that we don't have time to be considering that kind of a question. But I think it behooves us to consider that question from time to time. What are you here to do? And do you know? And are you living it? Are you putting any actions towards that? If not, why? I'll take a guess. It's a universal thing that hits all of us, the best of us, the whatever. I mean, just everybody, without exception. It's my deep conviction that to varying degrees, we have this thing of not enoughness. And it stems from comparing ourselves with others. Does it make sense? What do you think? Let me know. As I'm sharing these ideas, please do share whatever contrasting thoughts you have, or if you have any insights into some of the ideas that we explore here. Don't be shy. Send a little comment, and I should be able to see them. Anyway, so what are you here to do? And again, if you do know, do you think that you have it within you to actually have it happen? So here's mine. With my company, Untap Genius, the mission is very clear. It's about helping people recognize just how amazing that they actually are when the crap that gets in the way is no longer there, or at least for a moment, to have some type of clarity about your own value that you bring to this world. That can be a pretty tough thing to see, because by default, we do compare ourselves with other people, don't we? Right? Well, in contrast to that, and to make that pale in comparison, I say in the world that we live in right now, oh boy, the condition of the world right now, pretty freaky. It's surreal. It almost makes me feel like I'm in the middle of a movie, right? Have you ever felt that? It's like, what the hell's going on here, right? But I say in the midst of the craziness and the uncertainty, paradoxically, it is the perfect time to get a sense of mission at play. I love that expression, mission at play. I do believe that when we bring in our imagination, the spirit of play, experimentation, hey, let's see what's possible here, that amazing things can happen from that. As a matter of fact, those types of questions and considerations, I think, are pretty much built in. They're necessary. But again, the number one culprit, as far as I can tell after, 25 years of coaching now, and also just primarily using my own life as my own experiment, the number one thing, universal thing, whether we recognize it or not, is that not enoughness, which again, as I mentioned earlier, comes from comparing ourselves with others. I mean, it's almost a given, isn't it, that we compare ourselves? It's just kind of like natural, especially how society is set up, that we have things like classes and You know, we set things up like teams, like a football game, like red and blue, and our team versus the other team. It's all kind of set up that way, and I don't know, it's silly. It oversimplifies life, and it's like we're not just people who fit into one category or another. You notice how there's generally just two options, and you either need to fit into this category or that category, or any category whatsoever. It is the most natural thing in the world to compare ourselves with others. I've been plagued with that myself. Used to be. And I forever will. There's a part of the mind that will always contrast like how I think I show up to the world versus how other people. So the comparison thing it really is the most natural thing in the world to do. But it is a choice. It is an option that I can, how do I put this? I can build my life on a different framework where comparison no longer matters as much. It's something that when you have a clear sense of mission, when you have a passion, especially because of all the crap going in the world. I mean, what a perfect time to have clarity. Look at all the crap going on here. We need to change things. What do I stand for? How can I make a difference? And getting clear on that gives us power, our own personal power to influence this world. And it's so easy to feel powerless in the midst of all the massive profusion of bullshit in this world right now, right? But again, my favorite concept is paradox, because paradoxically, I say this is the perfect time to get extra clear and bold with who you are. And, you know, even just for 2 minutes, screw the comparison. Just for a moment. Really, just for one moment, give yourself permission to feel your own value, your own badassery, if you will. Again, for some, it might be fairly easy to do, but for the vast majority of people, that's a hard thing to even consider or put yourself into that kind of state where it's like, you know what, I am enough. And whatever flavor I come into this world as a human being, I have something to offer. And if people receive it or not is beside the point. It's the fact that you are being visible and putting yourself out there, kind of like I am right now. Now, if you know my story at all, you know that I used to be the shyest, most introverted, scared, paranoid dude you'd ever meet. It's kind of boring that way. And so it took me a long, long time to be even seen on camera. I just couldn't let that happen. I had to hide in my cave. And so now 1,300 lives now later, my ability to be present and to just show up as whoever I am has been amplified exponentially. But I have a ways to go. There's no question about it. So I recognize that just showing up as who you are is a fundamentally very, very difficult thing to do in this world, how it's been set up. Again, that thing of comparisons. I'm better than, I'm less than type of thinking. And it goes even more fundamental than that. It's good thinking, bad thinking. I'm a good person or a bad person. These are questions that are almost just to be assumed that it's just part of life. But if you question those questions themselves, you'll see that there are some fundamental flaws with those questions. Am I good? What? To me, now that I've really thought about it, it's like, what? You got to be kidding me. Of course you are. Of course you've got intrinsic value that you bring into this world in whatever flavor that you come into this world as. And I also like to think that this world needs us more than ever to show up in our unique flavors. But again, it takes freaking balls to do it. It ain't easy until it is. It's like now, you know, when I go live, I don't get nervous. There's no like kind of thing, which I used to be all the time. I mean, just to be seen, I was the shyest kid in school and stuff. And I would just like freak out when people would notice me. You know, my cousin told me one day, he said, you know, we couldn't even talk to you as a little kid until like you were maybe like 8 or 9 years old, because as soon as somebody would go to talk to you, you would hide in a corner. I mean, that is how volatile of a thing that I've come into this world with. And for me to be able to just be doing what I'm doing right now is it's a miracle, but yet so natural and easy and effortlessness. And if there's anything that I can share with people is that no matter what your thoughts are about yourself, and it might be related to anything in terms of being visible, like maybe you want to get on camera at some point, do your own live streaming, or, oh, I don't know, just share your message if you have one, if you know what that is. To be visible, again, it's really risky, isn't it? The people will come after you. They will. It's an inevitability. It's a mathematical certainty. If you put yourself out there enough, people will come after you. You know what I mean? Those negative comments online. And I used to be so scared of that crap. Well, actually, after 1,300 lives, I just got my first one the other day, and I shared a little bit about that. Just for a quick second, I'll just comment. It's like, they said, oh, it's another armchair guru. And instead of getting mortified and feeling judged, I actually started to giggle. Because I'm really clear. It's like, it's not about me being a guru. Oh God, no. We don't need any gurus. What we need are people who can share their experiences as they're trying to figure out their own lives and how to get past the crap that gets in the way. So many of it. And there's so many infinite ways that life can get in the way, right? But my conviction is that the only singular thing that matters, that gets in the way, the singular culprit, if you will, I like to call it the slippery mind. The slippery mind. It's slippery. It's cunning. It's baffling. It will convince you of things to be true when they're not necessarily true, or not the whole truth, or not always true. And a lot of times it's, judgment about ourselves. That, again, the essential dis-ease, dis-ease, if you will, is not enoughness through comparison of others. And, basing my perceived value on how I compare. So instead, what I'm going to invite you to do is consider the value that you bring, just who you are as a human being, along with your passions, interests, inclinations, perspectives, obsessions, those things that you love to do when there's nothing else that you have to do. The things that you naturally think about in this, about the world and what's possible when you're alone, when there's nothing getting in the way. It's those things that we need to absolutely get clear on and find a way to actually become more visible. So this is my practice. I do it every single day for one reason and one reason only. It's, yes, to be of service in a way, to just share whatever ideas, and if they land, they resonate. If it has you interrupt an old pattern or belief that's limiting you, then I've done my work. It's not even work. It's my play. It's my passion. But I'm also here to gain exposure because, I am very clear in my message. Again, my message being that you're freaking amazing. And that goes beyond any kind of fluffy notion that you could ever think about. I say it's physics. I say that what's built in your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, you have what it takes. You are more than enough. Fact. And that's my adamancy. I'm so like, and sometimes I don't have the words to describe, and the emotions will bubble up in me. It's like, I really mean it. When I say, factually, you are amazing, more amazing than what you even recognize. And that's one of my loves, is to share certain abilities that we all have that we didn't know we had. And then when you recognize these abilities, you can do amazing things with it. And therefore, have the wherewithal to make a difference in this world somehow, some way. The way does not matter. Is it big, huge, monumental, life-shifting, global shifting? Okay, great. If it's to have one smile triggered on a stranger's face every day, that mission matters just as much, if not more. So I'm not talking about something big necessarily, or maybe, but the size doesn't matter. Because again, if you put aside the whole notion of comparison, it doesn't matter. And if you also recognize that all the pieces of a thing matter, big and small, like I use the metaphor of a car, is the spark plug more or less important than the engine or the tires? Well, they all matter. And so whatever flavor you bring into this world, it matters. It's not just a philosophical, oh, you're amazing and oh, you've got value and here to do something amazing. It's like I can only use those words, but that's not what I mean. I'm not trying to make you feel good about yourself, even though I am. What I'm really trying to do in the work that I do is to prove to people without a shadow of a doubt that we have certain abilities that make all the difference in the world, that we are beyond amazing. How do I communicate that with somebody, though, so that it doesn't come across as a fluffy kind of thing? Because I hate that. Well, I don't hate it. I mean, it's good to have positive affirmations, and you see things on Facebook and feel good stuff, and it reminds me, okay, great, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying as a statement of fact that can be proven and needs to be proven so that we can override that not enoughness that we all have to varying degrees. Every single one of us. You can take the most successful person in the whole wide world, whatever success means to you, and they have some type of not enoughness in there. They have comparisonitis. Yeah, I like that term, comparisonitis within them. Because again, it's just what the mind does. And in terms of root-based, primitive, primal survival, we have to, on some level, compare. And we do have to label things as good, bad, safe, not safe. But our mind takes it too far, and it's mucking everything up in this life, collectively and individually. Do you know what I mean? If you have any thoughts on that, please do share. Because as you can tell, I'm very passionate about this stuff. And I say that the difference between this world being as it is right now, messed up with huge, beautiful potential to get to the next level, and actually realizing that, it really comes down to just one single thing. When somebody can really get it, that it's our thinking, our thoughts, are that one part of the mind, I call it the slippery mind, that is the judger, it is the comparer. And that will stop the vast majority of people from being their amazing selves, bringing their passion to the world. On some level, it's the only thing. And yeah, we have our constraints. We have time issues, energy issues, resource issues, and challenges. I've seen it time and time again, and from time to time in my own life, that when I'm really clear, I'm like, I act as if it's a done deal. Then it ends up being that, and that's when the magic, if you will, happens. So I could talk forever about this, but what I'd really like to do is hear from you guys. What is your message to the world, your passion? And are you acting on it? And if not, we probably know why. So look for that comparisonitis in you. And here's a little subtle but absolutely critical distinction here. When you notice those thoughts about you, if you take the time to notice how you compare yourself with others and the judgment that we all on some level are living our lives based on that comparison model, if you will, or judgment model, I like to call it. The one very important trick is to notice without judging. Notice whatever limiting thoughts that you may become aware of, but here's the trick, and it's a vital trick. Do not judge the judgment. And if you did, don't judge that. The art of observing is the key. Noticing the mind from a distance, some objectivity. The sense, for me, what helps is a sense of intrigue, curiosity, fascination, instead of getting into the drama of what my mind gives me. Because that's the natural thing. My thoughts come at me, and before you know it, I'm in a whole dialogue story of my past, or some upset I had with somebody, or why can't this happen, or what. It's so easy to get pulled into the spiral thread of any particular thought. And we don't want to have to free ourselves from that stuff by trying to fix it or solve it, or try to manhandle our minds. Really, it only comes down to one thing: the art of observing. and at the same time, allowing. So just for a moment, don't do anything with your thoughts. Just notice. Anyway, please do share. I want to know, what are you here to do? Big and small, it all matters. Love y'all. Have a great day. See ya.